everyone? Welcome to an episode of Total Impact. I am Zack Higgins. I'm here with Andrew Kim and Kris Torres, and today we're going to be doing a deep dive into the 2023 NFL Draft. By doing that, we're going to be going through our own mock the three of us will be doing together.
Yeah, so for the first pick with the Carolina Panthers, I don't think there's that much debate at this moment.
I think it's Bryce Young, even though I think they should pick CJ Stroud. I think it's going to be Bryce Young because he canceled all his pre-draft visits. But I've seen crazier things happen, but I really, at the end of the day, I don't see anywhere else he's going to go. Like, Vegas usually knows this stuff, and his odds are like over 1,000 right now. So I think it's a lock that it's going to be Young.
Yeah, so what do you guys think makes Young different from the other quarterbacks?
Well, under pressure, he's so calm. Like, he'll have a guy, like, four guys right in his face and still deliver a strike, like, accurate downfield. It's kind of like Patrick Mahomes. Like, the only thing that really is a big time concern with him is his size and his weight. He's like 5'10", 200. So there's really not many quarterbacks, if any quarterback, smaller than him. I think Kyler Murray is like 215 at least. So
yeah,
Bryce,
what do you think?
So the thing with Bryce Young, yeah, he's 6 foot 194. At least that's what he was listed at Alabama. And then when he got to the combine, he listed just under 190. So his size is small. When you want to talk about Kyler Murray being 5'10", he's still about 215. He's a little bit sturdier. You know, the comparable for Bryce is Breeze, is what a lot of people are talking about. Like what Daniel Jeremiah talked about, Todd McShay, he is a Breeze type archetype as far as his body type. But the thing is with Bryce Young, I think he's my number one quarterback in this class.
Yeah, me too.
He's coming from an Alabama pedigree, which says something. He knows how to win. And when you look at all the other quarterbacks that they could consider, you consider CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson are the other two that are in this conversation. I think his positives outweigh the negatives of some of the others. And with Stroud, it's more where he's coming from. Ohio State quarterbacks have not had success in the NFL, aside from Fields, and Fields is still a question mark. And then the only other guy to come out of Ohio State, really, only other two guys, Haskins didn't pan out, and Art Schlichter in 82 didn't pan out. So that's the other one. That's one of them. And then Richardson, too big of a question mark. He's so talented, incredibly talented, but Bryce Young is the safer option. When you have the number one pick and you're trying to rebuild, go with the guy that you think will give you something now and later.
Yeah, I think Young was pretty much the best college football player the last 2 years. And you have to swing at the quarterback position. You can't get that wrong. He's in between. He's pretty much the safest / the highest upside option. But yeah,
Definitely.
for the second pick for the Houston Texans, what do you guys think they should do?
Oh, you have to take a quarterback if you're the Texans. Like, I know they're thinking about taking defense, and I understand that these defensive players are really good, but at the end of the day, you have Davis Mills as your starting quarterback. Are you really going to give your new coach Davis Mills to try to grow and win with? Like, we've seen what he can do in the NFL, and he's mediocre at best. He has like a pretty much 50% touchdown to interception ratio. He's not the answer. So you have to go with someone that's going to be a franchise quarterback, whether it's CJ Stroud. I heard they really do like Will Levis. I don't know how high they are on Anthony Richardson. So I think this pick could probably be between Will Anderson, CJ Stroud, or Will Levis. And if it was me, I would draft CJ Stroud. What do you guys think?
Andrew, I'll let you go first on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if all this Will Levis stuff is a smokescreen, trying to gas him up or something. But I don't know. Personally, I think if it's not Stroud, it should be Anderson. I mean, maybe they take Levis with that second pick in the first round, but yeah, I think overall it should be probably Stroud.
Okay, so Kris, you're absolutely right. They cannot go out next year with Davis Mills. At least in my opinion, I'm sure in your guys' opinion too. They can't do that. That's why the Houston Texans will trade a 4th-round pick for Trey Lance instead and take Will Anderson at 2. Because
yeah.
Forget about Trey Lance stuff.
I don't know if we're doing trades, so I'll stick with you guys with Stroud on this. But in my opinion, when you're looking at connections here, D'Amico Ryan's player for a long time. He played at Alabama.
Yeah.
I think his preferred guy is more than likely Bryce Young.
For sure is.
Bryce Young isn't there at 2. I think it makes complete sense to now go with another Alabama player at 2, who's also the best defense player in the draft. And if you go back to D'Amico's last coaching job in San Francisco, up close with Trey Lance, and I think you can get him for pretty cheap. So you can trade for Lance with like a 4th or a 3rd, maybe draft Will Anderson, get a receiver at 12. I think that makes more sense. But with the sake of no trades for right now, CJ Stroud's their guy.
All right.
Yeah,
So
okay.
what's CJ? But I agree with the Trey Lance stuff because I actually think Trey Lance is very talented. I think the 49ers aren't giving him 100% a fair chance from what they got him with. Like they traded 3 first-round picks to get this guy. There's no reason they shouldn't give him a real shot with Brock Purdy injured and all that. I know they have Sam Darnold, but like I think you got to at least see what he has for one more training camp, then give up on him already. But I think that would be a huge, like, if the Texans wanted to go defensive route, which Will Anderson is a really good player, so there's nothing wrong with picking him. I think it would be a good idea. But yeah, we're doing no trades right now, and CJ Stroud is my guy. I think he's going to be a talented quarterback too. So I think either way, you're going to get a home run pick with those two.
Yeah, I think like even if like a team like trades up like for if the Texans actually want to trade out, that whoever trades up is probably gonna take Stroud or the next best quarterback anyway.
Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah,
someone and honestly, like people like his talent, but I wouldn't take. He's too much of a risk to me.
Yeah. So for the 3rd pick, then it would make sense that even if they are trading down, that if they were to stick and pick, it would be like a Will Anderson type for the Cardinals because they need everything.
100%. The JJ Watt just retired. They need an edge rusher so badly. If not, it's Will Anderson is gone for the Texans, and the Cardinals remain in this pick. I think they would take Tyree Wilson. I don't think they would remain in quarterback value. It would be crazy, but I think they either want Will Anderson or Tyree Wilson.
All right, Chad, what do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely if Will Anderson's gone, I think they go Wilson over Jalen Carter just because they want the edge presence a little bit more than the interior presence. Plus, all the question marks come with Carter. I think it makes them to trade back because that team, yeah, they did lose JJ Watt, they lost Zach Allen. They didn't do much this offseason to help them. They need so much more than one guy. So if someone wants to jump up ahead of the Colts and take Richardson, which is what I think the Colts prefer at this point, if you leave Richardson and Levis, I think they'll try and trade back. But Arizona with Anderson still on the board would take Anderson.
I agree with that. He's still there at 3. They're definitely taking Anderson. I actually don't think they'll trade because I think he's a generational talent. This guy had like almost like 30 sacks in college, I think. So you don't get that.
I think like 34. Like he had 17 that 1 year in 2021.
He had 19 and a half the second year.
Yeah.
When he says 4 year.
Yeah, that Alabama misused the shit out of him though. Like he could have been more productive because they kept lining him up at like the big like 5-tech
he coverage like if you need him to.
Yeah. No, he can do a lot. It's just he was just getting used like everywhere.
If you think about Arizona too, with the 2 decent signings made this offseason, Kaiser White and Chris Barnes are coverage linebackers. You don't need Will Anderson to drop in coverage if you draft.
Exactly.
You can
it's just hilarious when just the college defense, they just make these like edge rushers just drop back to coverage like they're gonna. I mean, actually, Will Anderson did have that one pick. What is it? He had like a pick 6. I think against Texans, like, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's because like they want to. Some of it is they want to disguise their coverages, and other is because you want your best athletes to play like in unpredictable places. Sometimes that's why the coaches try to do that, but I don't agree with.
It's more like specialized, like you do what you're good at.
Exactly.
But yeah. So for the 4th pick, so there's Richardson and Levis on the board for them.
You know it's a quarter.
Yeah, for sure. So who do you guys take? Who do you think they will take? If both of them are on the board at 4.
I'll let you.
Sorry, I don't mean to kick us off. Richardson, no question. I think Levis drops out of the top 10, to be honest with you. Anthony Richardson is the more talented player. You can do a lot more with him. They just signed Gardner Minshew. You don't have to play Anthony Richardson right away, but his ceiling is the highest in the entire class. Imagine Cam Newton ran a 4.4. I mean, Cam Newton ran like a 4.65 at his combine.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson ran a 4.48. Can do. Everyone's seen the videos of him doing backflips. The guy's athleticism is off the charts. So if you don't want to start him right away, fine. You stash him. You have a rookie head coach. You can wait. You can take time because the team's still solid. If you want to take Richardson at 4, stash him for however long, start Minshew, get whatever production you can get out of him before AR is ready. But I think people take a little bit too much stock in the 1 year he had in college starting. It wasn't ideal for him, just stat-wise. But if it's between Richardson and Levis, it has to be Richardson. You can't take Will Levis at 4.
Yeah, he had like not that good of a supporting cast, and he's really young too, so he's definitely not even close to like what he can achieve, and like I feel like his floor is actually pretty high because with Steichen, like he can do a lot of like mobile stuff like what they did in Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts. Like
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think in terms of like the pocket presence, I think that trait is like underrated for him because he was one of the least sacked quarterbacks in college football last year. So, like, if he just refines his mechanics a little bit, like he'll be fine.
I think. Listen,
Yeah.
I think the most Colts thing to do would be take Will Levis. Like, I would not be surprised if the Colts take him just because you know how dumb they are. You know how they always somehow make the wrong move recently. But I would absolutely have to agree with you guys. You take Anthony Richardson here. Like, the guy is a freak of nature. He's literally like pretty much like Cam Newton or a Josh Allen, but maybe faster than them. The only question is he needs to develop his accuracy. But you've seen with Josh Allen, like his accuracy got so much better, like from the first year to the second year to the third year he was in the NFL. Like if Anthony Richardson
the point cast definitely gonna be
put the work
better
in
the NFL.
if he could put the work in, then he could definitely get more accurate. Plus, Florida, he really didn't have any good wide receivers. Like I watched some games, they had absolutely nobody at wide receiver. Him and the running backs were carrying that team. You could vary your rushing attack with him. He's much more versatile. Will Levis is just way too much of a question mark. He had a good sophomore year, but last year he was absolutely terrible.
Right.
Too many interceptions, too many just bad throws under pressure that I really didn't like. I just don't see how you could take him with this 4th pick. Like he's got good arm talent, but he's not like the process maker you would expect to take over an athlete like Richardson, you know?
Yeah.
So I can't.
Yeah. So for the 5th pick with Seattle, do you guys think they would even like they would gamble on a quarterback here, or they just take the better defensive player on the board?
I think if Anthony Richardson was available, they might take him because you could sit him behind Geno Smith for like 2 years. Geno's a good vet. He could teach Anthony Richardson, you know, what the insides and outs of the NFL they would help develop his accuracy. But with Will Levis there, I think this could be a big time spot for a trade, number 1. Or number 2, I think they might take Jalen Carter or Tyree Wilson. Personally, I would take Tyree Wilson if I were them. They don't really have much of an edge presence in Seattle. So, and D-line in general was a big reason why the 49ers easily stomped them out of the playoffs. So I would have to go with whether it's Carter or Wilson. I say Wilson. I don't know who you guys think.
All right. What do you think, Zach?
So if Jalen Carter's there at 5, I'm 99% sure they would take Jalen Carter at that spot because, Chris, you're right. They don't have that big of an edge presence right now, but they do have young guys there. They drafted Boy Mafe last year. They signed Uchenna Nwosu last offseason. They have guys there that can do it. And the good thing about this draft, too, is there's going to be a lot of edge rushers that go past 5. I'm thinking
that's
6,
one
7.
of the deeper positions, I would say.
Yeah. I feel like it's harder to find really good interior pressure over like an edge.
There's just a lot of question marks about Carter that I don't know if I would take him at 5. That's the only thing like with me.
So the thing is, he's been canceling visits. He's been saying that he's going top 10, and with his agent Drew Rosenhaus, I think he's too good to not. You know,
I agree.
There's times where question marks can get in the way. I don't think this gets in the way at this point. And Pete Carroll would take a gamble like that. An older coach who's been around for a while. I would trust Jalen Carter with Pete Carroll as opposed to some other coaches.
Yeah. I definitely would trust him in that, like, that scene over there in Seattle. Like, they're a very good culture in that system. So I think that they would do a good job of developing him. But even then, like, I don't know, when I watch his film, he's just like takes so many plays off that it scares me. That's the only thing I have with him. But I don't think it would be a bad pick because they have absolutely no defensive tackle either. Like you said, they have Wosu, and Wosu is a pretty good player. Your boy Mafe is still developing, but he might be good one day. So I think.
Yeah, so that's the pick for Seattle.
I think Carter could be safer. I think Wilson's better than Carter though, but I think Carter would be like a more ideal fit for them. I will give you that.
Andrew, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it just makes sense. I mean, he's pretty much like a consensus top 5 defensive player in the draft anyway, and I just don't see him falling out of the top 10. But for Detroit at 6, who do you think they would go for?
I got Devon Witherspoon because they just traded Jeff Okudah. I mean, I know they signed Cameron Sutton, I think it was, over the offseason.
Yeah, they're still in the corner. But they trade Okudah too. I think
this is a can't-miss prospect, Devon Witherspoon. He's an absolute beast. He's the type of player that he's literally like – he reminds me a lot of Jalen Ramsey. He literally will put his nose down. He'll make the dirty hits, He'll get into the run game as a corner. That's what you love to see. And he's also a shutdown on the inside, on the outside, wherever you put him. He's versatile. He does remind me a lot of Jalen Ramsey. I would pick him, but if they went with a edge rusher, I don't think they would though, because they have Aiden Hutchinson and they have other pieces around the edge they could build around. I think a corner would be a little bit better. I could see if they went quarterback, but I would shock me. I like Jared Goff. I actually think he's doing pretty good.
Yeah, what do you think, Zach?
I think they go corner as well. I would prefer Gonzalez over Witherspoon just because he's lankier. His 1 year Oregon, I mean, he's a transfer, but his 1 year Oregon was absolutely shut down. And I think that's somebody in the process that Dan Campbell has favored over someone like Witherspoon. And then what Kris said about edge rusher, Tyree Wilson's not out of the question for them. I think, though, like we talked about with the last pick in Seattle, edge rushers will be down the board. So they have that pick at 18 again. So they can draft Lucas Van Ness, they can go Will McDonald, they can go anyone at 18, but they can get a top flight corner, whether it's Witherspoon or Gonzalez. They can get him here now and then wait to get an edge rusher because you already have Hutchinson. You already have somebody there that's like your top.
Exactly.
All right, so I guess I have to split the tiebreaker with Witherspoon or Gonzalez.
Who do you think is better?
I don't know. I think
we just.
I mean, I think with like. I know. Zach just said about Dan Campbell, like he does like cleaner like prospects, but I don't know. Maybe Witherspoon's like feistiness just fits better for Detroit. Also, I think they have him like ranked like they usually have Witherspoon ranked in the top 10, and Gonzalez is like just outside. Usually, like he doesn't usually fall past like 12 or 13, but Witherspoon usually.
Trust me, I think Gonzalez is a good prospect too. He's like my number 2 corner, so you can't go wrong with either guy.
Yeah,
I really like Witherspoon.
Yeah, I think he fits for them. But for the Raiders, I know they need corners too, but they could trade up, or they just pick Will Levis if he's still here. What do you guys think?
I think this might be a spot where you pick Tyree Wilson. Like the Raiders have presence, but they have Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones, I love the guy, but he's old now. Like he's coming into his 30s. He's making a lot of money. So if you pick Tyree Wilson, you put him next to Max Crosby. And I hate the Raiders. I'm a Charger fan, So it scare me. But if you put him next to Max Crosby, that would be scary. I would also consider like Peter Skoronski here because you never could have enough all-line depth. Or I would consider trading this pick. If they pick Will Levis, I don't know how it would pan out. I pick him.
The Raiders are a pretty big wild card. It does depend on if they want to trade up or
Gonzalez is definitely in play here too. Like I would consider taking Gonzalez or Witherspoon, whichever one's available. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that either.
Yeah.
I think go a lot of different this pick. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Zach, go ahead.
Sure. So for them, if I think they would take Richardson if he was there at 7, which it's unlikely he is.
I don't think he will be. Yeah.
I don't
like
think he will
7
be.
and 8,
So,
that's like the floor.
yeah. So I think they'll run with Garoppolo, and then the two big needs are offensive line and corner, like Chris touched on. So it would either be Christian Gonzalez or Peter Skronsky, because Peter Skronsky can play anywhere on the offensive line.
Yep.
And they've missed at that position in the past with Alex Leatherwood. And they missed their corner with Gary and Conley. And then like 12 years ago, they drafted DJ Hayden. Like they just keep missing. The Raiders are notoriously bad at drafting in the first round. If you look at the last horrible. I mean, the only pick that they've hit on has been Jacobs. They missed on Farrell. They missed on Abram. They missed on Leatherwood. They missed on Conley. They missed on Ruggs. They've missed on everybody. So Skronsky would feel a little bit safer, but their only legitimate corner is Nate Hobbs, and that's it. They need another corner. Gonzalez makes sense on the outside for them.
Yeah,
I agree with the Gonzalez pick. I say Gonzalez now.
Yeah,
I mean, I know Wilson's the best player available, but you have to go Gonzalez here because they have absolutely no one at corner competent.
Yeah. So, so I have him going Gonzalez. For the Falcons, I know they need some edge help. So, do you guys think Tyree Wilson would fit here or somebody else?
Absolutely. I know they like Nolan Smith too, so I'm scared they might pick him, but I think you can't pass on Tyree Wilson if you're the Falcons. No way.
Well, so what I think you also have to think about too with Atlanta is that Tyree Wilson is a little bit bigger, and he can also go as like a 4-3 defensive tackle. So it might not be exactly what they're looking for. Someone like Miles Murphy or Nolan Smith, like Chris just said, would make a little bit more sense. But for the sake of the exercise, Tyree Wilson is the best edge rusher left on the board.
Yeah, okay.
Like it wouldn't shock me if they try to pick. Atlanta's one of them organizations that, they don't hit in the first round either, like the Raiders. I mean, Calvin Ridley and a couple other guys that did good on Kyle Pitts, but for the most part, they pick a lot of busts. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to do something crazy and pick Miles Murphy or Nolan Smith.
Yeah,
but I would pick.
For the Bears, I know you mentioned Skronsky. I know there's like other tackles they might be interested in, like Paris Johnson or Broderick Jones. Who do you guys think they would go for in that scenario?
I think they're gonna go with Skronsky. He's from Northwestern. Northwestern is right around the corner from the Bears, so I think they're familiar with him. He could play inside only. They have Braxton Jones, who he was like a late round pick last year, but he was really good, like as a rookie, and he's gonna only develop. So they have him at tackle. And their other tackle spot is kind of weak. I would agree that Paris Johnson might be a good pick. Skronsky could play tackle, though. So if you really needed him to play tackle, he could. He's coming out as a tackle, but everyone says he should move to guard. I think he's going to be I think he would be a really good guard, too. Just the way he gets dirty in the run game. I would pick Skronsky. And I'm an Ohio State guy. I like Paris Johnson, but I think Skronsky's a better fit for this type of team. This type of offense, you're going to run with Fields, going to run the football. Hard nose, you got to pick Skronsky.
Yeah, what do you think, Zach?
Yeah, that's exactly what I would say. I mean, Skronsky's projection really is a solid right tackle to All-Pro, Pro Bowl caliber guard.
Yep.
So it's somebody you don't want to pass on drafting, especially with the troubles the Bears have had on the offensive line. Skronsky's arms are shorter, so it doesn't really translate well to the next level if you want to put him at left to right tackle, which is what he was in college. Sliding him inside the guard, I don't think is a problem because then you can always go back and get somebody later in like the second round or next year, even if you need to push it back. It makes sense. And like Chris said, if you're going to run the football with Fields and whoever you have in the backfield, Khalil Herbert, and I'm sure they'll add somebody else in the later rounds, it makes sense to grab Skronsky. And yeah, Northwestern guy, so he's right around the corner.
Yeah. All right. So we got the Philly pick at pick 10. I know Skronsky was like a very popular pick for them. Do you guys think they'll still go 0-1?
I don't know. I think they might go edge here, just because they love to pick defensive linemen. Like they could go edge, they could go corner. There's a lot of they could go with Bijan Robinson maybe. I don't know what the hell this is the hardest pick of the top 10 to me. I don't know who the hell they're gonna go with.
Yeah, like 9 and 10 are. I think 8, 9, 10 are a little difficult. They have like different needs and stuff. What do you think, Zach?
So for this one, I would have them taking an edge rusher, but as I talked about in the first few picks, where edge rusher was a part of the discussion, they're late. They're going to come later. And Eagles picking at 30, I think that's more of a logical spot for them for edge rusher. It's hard to say. I think they would take Bijan at this point, just
Yeah, I
because
like that. I like that too a lot.
how highly he's rated. I mean, he is the number 2, 3 prospect on a lot of people's boards. On mine as well as the number 3 player on my board. So I think for Philly, with not a lot of holes, I mean, they didn't lose a lot of players. Their big hole probably is linebacker, but there's nobody worth taking at 10. It's more likely at 30 round. So yeah, I would take Bijan here.
I think like even if like Harry Roseman isn't known to take running back this high, obviously, I think I've heard some recent like stuff that a lot of people are linking Bijan to Atlanta or even like Chicago. Like I mean, I don't know. They could. I think he's worth going in the top 10 in this.
Well, I think Atlanta has Tyler Algier, who just ran for 1,000 yards as a rookie, and Chicago Herbert coming off of 6 yards a carry. So they're probably
more like a luxury
satisfied with their running back spots. The Eagles just did lose Miles Sanders, and even though they got Gainwell, I love Gainwell, but I think Bijan would be a home run pick. Like he would make their offense literally unstoppable. He's a generational talent. Yeah, they could pick a linebacker later, and they have Nakobe Dean, who was a really good linebacker at Georgia, and he sat last year after being a 3rd round pick. I think he could step in and start.
Okay. So with pick 11 with the Titans, I mean, I think Will Levis fits at this spot. I mean, I know they need a receiver. They could go edge, but what do you guys think about that?
I could see it being a wide receiver. I really could. I think I wouldn't rule out them picking Jackson Smith and Jigba over the Texans. If the Texans get C.J. Stroud, they definitely look to pair him up with Smith and Jigba. I could definitely see a quarterback. I don't know if they want Levis. I mean, Levis is kind of similar to Ryan Tannehill, who they have now. If there was Anthony Richardson, there's no doubt in my mind they would take him.
Yeah,
they might even
trade up for him.
Trade Anthony Richardson. But I don't know if they're going to take Levis. Like I don't know. I think they might go for a wide receiver. They picked what's his name from Arkansas, Traylon Burks, but they don't really have a wide receiver presence at all. I would have to go with either Smith and Jigba or maybe Quentin Johnston here.
All right, Zach, what's your take on this?
Yeah, so in my mock draft that I put out, I had them taking Will Levis at 11, just because you can sit him for a year because he needs to fix things like Richardson. So starting Tannehill for another year isn't the worst thing, and have Levis sit behind him. But also keep in mind, Taylor Lewan isn't there anymore, and Paris Johnson's still there on the board at 11.
Oh, yeah, that's very true.
Paris Johnson would be the pick at 11, just because the receiver class is a lot of question marks. Jackson Smith and Jigba is my number 1 receiver, so trying to take him at Houston makes sense, but they need a tackle on both ends. So
I forgot about Taylor Lewan. You're 100% right. I would take Johnson is a good value here too. That wouldn't be a bad pick. I agree with that Johnson pick. I actually had that in mocked.
Yeah, their offensive line looked like a problem even with Taylor Lewan last year. So like whoever they want to go at with at quarterback, they need just a better tackle. So Paris Johnson makes sense.
And you want to run the ball with Henry, so you got to draft the offensive lineman.
Yeah. So with the Texans already picking Stroud, I guess.
Oh, they need a number 1 wide receiver. Jackson Smith.
And just lock it in pretty much.
You're not going to win the season with Nico Collins and John Mechie as your number 1 receivers. Robert Woods, he's had a great career, but I don't think he's an answer anymore. He didn't look good last year. I would have to go with Smith and Jigba, especially if you get Stroud. Then that connection is lethal. I'm telling you, that connection will be like I don't know if as good, but it would just be like something like a Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase if they play together again in the NFL.
Yeah, you want to add to that, Zach?
Yeah, I think that's all you really have to say. They need a receiver. Jackson Smith-Jigba is Stroud's top target. He's my number 1 receiver on the board. Him and Zay Flowers are co-number 1s on my board. So
yeah, definitely.
All right, so Zach, for your Jets, who do you think they need?
So they need offensive line help. That's the big thing. So at 13, Broderick Jones is still there. I'm not really sure if it's Broderick or Broderick. I've heard it both ways. Either way, he would be the pick at 13 just because they need tackle help. I mean, Becton's a question mark.
Sure.
I'm in the camp that thinks he's going to rebound this year and have a good year, but you have to bank on the fact that he won't, or just the possibility that he won't. And on the other side, Dwayne Brown is 38 years old. So someone like Jones would make sense here at 13. I can
You
see that
like
with
him
Brian Branch.
over Darnell Wright and I guess Anton Harrison. I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
I would
Better
rank
than
the order Jones, Wright,
Okay.
Harrison. I think Harrison's more of a second round guy, but I could also see him taking Brian Branch at 13 because they need safety help, and he's the by far and away the best safety on the board. But 13 might be a little too rich for that. So
Yeah.
Jones
so.
makes more
I
sense.
think if the Jets trade back, they'll probably get Brian Branch. But if they stay there, Dwayne Brown is 38 years old. He ain't gonna play forever. You could sit a Jones, even like a Harrison, for maybe a year and let them learn behind the vet Dwayne Brown, and they'll be pretty seasoned after learning behind them. I say you got to go with Jones. Jones is the best of the three guys that you just mentioned, in my opinion, too. Like
Yeah.
I think I got it wrong. Like I don't know why he's all the way down at rank 26. He's definitely better than Harrison and Wright. I don't have
Yeah.
either of those guys in the first round, so I think this is the right pick for the Jets.
Okay. So for the 14th pick, and with all the Mac Jones trade rumors and whatnot, if Levis is there, do you think they take him or go for either an O lineman or a defensive player? You can
I
go for a sec.
think Flowers.
Say
A lot
Flowers.
Dave Flowers. I don't know if he's gonna go this high, but I heard the Patriots are one of those teams. I wouldn't be surprised if they picked them, but if not, I would say probably Lucas Van Ness. He's like the type of
Yeah.
player I
Yeah.
love
He
on the
fits.
very versatile. He can play multiple positions. He can play inside, outside. He's like Belichick loves those type of guys that neutralize the line of scrimmage. I think he would be like a good fit for the Patriots. I don't have him ranked as high as like Miles Murphy and a couple other guys, but I think that based on how the Patriots play their scheme, I would think they might pick him.
Yeah. What do you think, Zach?
So we keep in mind too is a lot of people talk about the Raiders unknown in the first round. The Patriots have been going unknown a lot in the first round.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, it's always a question mark. I have them taking Brian Branch at 14 just because McCourty's gone and they've lost guys in secondary over the last few years. I think
Yeah. And the
receivers,
Bama connection.
exactly. And
Yeah.
receivers absolutely in play. Zay Flowers make a lot of sense. He's from, Boston College. It makes sense. But they signed Juju Smith-Schuster in free agency. They signed Gesicki in free agency. They still have Hunter Henry. They still have Tyquan Thornton. They have guys there that you can get a receiver in the second round. Branch fits a need that they have now, and he's incredibly talented. And with the Nick Saban connection, it makes sense.
I can see
Yeah.
Branch. They love defensive backs. They like that's one of the things they've been consistent to pick over the years. Like New England is notorious for picking Alabama players in the secondary, Alabama linebackers. So I think Branch could be in play here too for sure.
Yeah. I feel like I mean I don't think they're known for trading up anyway, but they would have to they would have to like trade up for a quarterback probably if they want Levis, and then they're gonna have to. I don't know. I don't know if it would involve Mac Jones or not. Maybe, but if they're picking here, then yeah, Brian Branch is the best safety, and yeah,
Kind
that's the
of
position we need. Um, but for 15 at the Packers, um, it would just be funny if they just go get a pass catcher for Jordan Love, but they
do
didn't
think they
really do
are.
it. Yeah.
I think they might get a tight end though because I don't know who the fuck their tight end is honestly. Like I don't know. Did they sign somebody? Like
Uh, I actually don't think they did.
I can't name their tight end. Like they have
It's like that one
Watson.
fullback they drafted, but he plays tight end.
They have Christian
Um,
Watson, Romeo Dubs,
yeah, they're
couple
not
other
bad. They were really good rookies last year.
that they drafted that should get improve over this season. I don't know. I know Robert Tonyan is on the Bears now. I don't know who their tight end is. I think you might have to pick Michael Mayer or Dalton Kincaid here. I don't know what you guys think, but that's what I would do.
Yeah, what do you think, Zach?
Yeah, I think they'll take Dalton Kincaid at 15. He's the best pass catching tight end
Yeah,
in the draft. Michael Mayer is arguably the better prospect. He's a little bulky on the field. He's a better blocker than Kincaid, but Kincaid, as far as trying to get the ball to him, he's better. And that's what you're
Yeah,
trying to do with ushering in the Jordan Love era. Now,
they
I mean,
need that.
yeah, they need that. I mean, Zay Flowers is still on the board. Probably not for them just because of the guys they drafted last year. So Kincaid would make the most sense.
yeah, he's essentially a receiver. Like it's just you wouldn't have to be in like certain packages. He's just a starter right away.
If Rodgers
Um,
was there, I would think about taking Flowers. But when you have Love, I think you got to take the tight end. You got to take the big target.
yeah, young QBs like throwing to the tight end usually. For 16, I mean they do need a quarterback. It's just I don't know if they're gonna rock with Sam
Levis is
Howell or yeah,
yo.
yeah. Do you think Levis would fit here at 16?
I don't know. I think I'm gonna. I would think about I really would think about a corner. I think they
Yeah,
need and they need linebacker. I would think about Drew Sanders. I would think about a corner. I think Sam Howell. They're gonna stick with him. They have Jacoby Brissett. He's more than
yeah,
comfortable
true.
with Cleveland. So I don't think they're gonna pick Levis. I think a primary landing spot for Levis would be either 18 or 19.
Yeah.
I don't think Washington will pick him. I think they either trade this pick and someone goes up and gets Levis, or they're gonna pick like a corner or a linebacker. What do you guys think?
Uh,
Andrew, what do
yeah.
you think?
I feel like either. I mean, if I were them, I would. I don't know. I don't know if Sam Howell showed enough in like one game. Well, I mean,
Well,
it's
they
only one game, but I don't know if you want to like. I'm pretty sure he's gonna get fired if like Sam Howell did bad next year. But Joey Porter and Banks are pretty good um spots right here at corner. Um, what do you think?
Yeah, so Will Levis doesn't fit here just because Rivera is playing on a 1 year contract at this point, and it's
Yeah,
Sam Howell or bust. And if Sam Howell works out, great, he can keep his job. Drafting Will Levis isn't going to help that. It's not going to extend his timeline at all because they've given him enough chances. It's going to be a corner. It just depends on who they favor. It could be Joey Porter, Deontay Banks, Cam Smith. It could be any three of those guys. I'm partial to Banks just because he's from Maryland. It's a Maryland guy. He's right there in the backyard. I think it makes more sense. But it could be Joey Porter. It could be Cam Smith. It could be Keely Ringo even at 17 because there's teams that love him. There's teams that hate him. It
I
doesn't.
like I like Banks too. I think Banks is a baller. He's when you watch him, he rarely gives up many chunk plays in coverage. He's keeps everything in front of him. I think Porter, he's a really good tackler, but sometimes he gets burned a little bit. So I would favor Banks over him.
yeah. I wanted Banks to go to Baltimore, but I guess not. For 17 for the Steelers, um, I think it's either Joey Porter or a tackle, pretty much. I don't think there's any other choice really. What do you guys
After
think?
that Allen Robinson trade, yeah, there's no. I don't think they're going to go wide receiver.
No.
I had Dewan Jones. I mean, what's his name? Dewan Jones here, but he's
Yeah.
like Vikings. I thought he was better than Harrison and Wright, but I could see one of those three guys actually. They do need another tackle besides Chuck Okorafor. I could see a linebacker here too to replace Devin Bush. Drew Sanders is possible. I could see a corner here because their secondary is a little old. They just signed Patrick Peterson. You're gonna need to replace him eventually. If
Yeah.
it was offensive lineman though, I don't know. I'll leave it up to you guys. I always struggle with this one.
Yeah. Tech. What do you think?
I would pick Darnell Wright at 17. They need tackle help. He's the best one left on the board.
Yeah,
Harrison comes with a little bit too many question marks for me. Just a little too raw for me. Darnell Wright's the better prospect. And then even Dewan Jones, he's big. I mean, he's 6'8", 374. He's more likely a second round pick though, just because he's even when you're big, it doesn't mean that you're good. It's more that, when edge rushers come off, get him under his pads, it's tough for him.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I would Darnell Wright at 17. They need somebody to replace
I,
Dan Moore. Dan Moore's a liability at tackle. So
absolutely terrible. They
I
have.
feel like Steelers
I'm,
fans are so mad they're passing on Joey Porter's son, but yeah, it just makes more sense to tackle here. Cause the tackle board, I feel like there's a lot of them at the top, but then after that top tier, like, yeah, you don't want to, you need to upgrade there. But for the Lions, they already took a corner. So I mean, they could take Will Levis here, or they could get probably like a receiver,
if it was
maybe.
me, I would take Kalijah Kancey. I think this guy
Well,
is
yeah, D lineman.
really, really good. I think he's not that far behind Jalen Carter, but he like Carter is probably way bigger, way more athletic. But this guy plays like way higher motor than Carter. He will not take plays off. He's constantly giving the O lineman hell, constantly putting on good like rip moves, all types of different moves. D linemen do. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
break it all, but like I would pick Kancey. That would be my pick.
What do you think, Zach?
So I don't know if their need on the interior is more than their need on the outside, just because you have Hutchinson, that's great, and he had a really good year as a rookie. You need somebody to now balance him out. I would take Lucas Van Ness here at 18. I think that makes sense for Dan Campbell and their defense. Cansey's not a bad pick, but I think for them, they're looking for more interior run stuffers. Cansey's really not that kind of guy. And I know everyone
he's like a passer.
the Aaron Donald comparisons, and that's because they're tiny and from the same school. It's not even close. I mean, with Donald and Cansey, I'm not saying Cansey's not a good player, because he is. He's a really good prospect.
Nobody's Aaron Donald.
Exactly. No one's Aaron Donald. And Ness would make more sense on the edge.
All right, I like. Oh, that's not a bad pick.
They could stockpile on offense later in the draft anyway, because I feel like that it's definitely more. There's definitely more top tier defensive players here where they're picking, and then the offensive depth or for receivers and like tight ends probably more like second round. So yeah, Van Ness.
19. This is actually the spot I say. I think Will Levis.
Yeah, we're just gonna pencil in Will Levis here.
They got Baker Mayfield. Baker, you know who Baker is. Kyle Trask. I mean, I have him compete with Will Levis. Let's see who's better between those two. Kyle Trask wasn't bad at Florida. Will Levis was a big question mark at Kentucky. He had a good.
I feel like Will Levis. It's like
2022.
I feel like he's kind of like Trask if like Trask had like maybe like a better arm and was more mobile. It's just like a mix. But yeah. Oh, what do you think, Zach?
Levis?
If you guys are going with Levis, then I'll go with you. I think it makes sense. I think Tampa Bay signed Baker Mayfield so they wouldn't have to do this. They have Mayfield and Trask, so they wouldn't have to go and get Will Levis at 19. They can wait until next year, because I think they're looking at Caleb Williams and Drake May instead. It's not like it doesn't make sense. It does make sense.
Could be though, but like I don't know. They could also not lose enough games to get one of those guys, because they have a lot of veterans on their roster.
I feel like they would have. I thought they would have traded like Evans maybe, because I think he's on a pretty big deal. I know they re-signed Godwin, but yeah, I'm not sure.
I just think the amount of veterans on that team, they won't be good. I think they'll win like maybe 6 to 8 games though, because their division sucks. Number one and number two, like those guys have experienced enough, played with Brady, and they're not bad players. Like I think they'll win too many games to get Williams or May. So that's why you probably should go with Levis here, have Levis out. Like
their offensive tackle situation is pretty bad.
That's true, but I would consider a tight end too. I don't know. Rate is getting old. Like their tight ends are
not on from last year. But he's not like anything special. I don't think.
But we're gonna put Levis here, right?
I mean, if we didn't, like, what tackle would like fit? I guess, or defensive player.
So
Harrison.
So for offensive tackle, I mean, if you Anton Harrison, you could put DeJuan Jones. Those are probably the two next up in the rankings.
Yeah, because I heard they're open to flipping Wirfs to the other side at left tackle.
Yeah.
If they were to take a right tackle.
Right. Harrison is a left tackle.
Perfect at right tackle. In that sense.
DeJuan Jones.
Yeah, he plays right tackle, so I think he would be. If you want to pick him there, that's fine.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: if Levis doesn't go here, Levis will go at 20.
Yeah, I would put Levis here, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, I guess just yeah. I mean, yeah. Let's just go with Levis, because yeah, I don't know. Like, obviously, like you could like gamble on next year's QB class, but I feel like Todd Bowles. I mean, isn't he on the hot seat too? Like,
yeah, he is.
Yeah. I mean, Mayfield wasn't bad for the Rams, but I just don't think you can bank on him or Trask like being decent
No, I mean you can't expect Baker Mayfield to be anything like he was his third year in Cleveland because he's been on other teams since then. He's been in Carolina, he's been in Los Angeles, he's been everywhere around the league, and they wouldn't have brought him in if they thought Kyle Trask was any good.
Yep.
If they thought Kyle Trask was any good, they'd be playing Kyle Trask this year.
They're on the Watson situation, like they think with Sam Howell.
Like obviously, they would be drafting Levis here to compete. I mean, if he's good enough, he could start right away. And that division isn't even that good. Like, it's not that like they kept like.
But I think Levis might take over by week 6.
Yeah, they kept all their like defensive players too, pretty much. So I think they think their defense is ready. They just need a decent quarterback. And then
their defense kept them in a lot of games last year. People forget their defense was good. Brady sucked.
Yeah. Other than the Carolina game where he threw like 4 touchdowns to Mike Evans.
Yeah, that
stupid, like fantasy stuff. But yeah. So for Seattle at pick 20, probably.
You
they
gotta
already
go with,
took
they take
Jalen Carter.
You gotta go with Nolan Smith. I would pick Nolan Smith here. He's fallen too far.
All right, what do you think, Zach?
I would take Miles Murphy here at 20. I think he projects as a better prospect. Like Nolan Smith, I get like the physical talent. I mean, he ran a 4.39. That's ridiculous. But also, if he doesn't go to Atlanta at 8, I think that's where he'll just drop. He'll drop into this range. Miles Murphy's bigger. He's still running.
Like some, but I said Atlanta likes him, but he's gonna fall pretty far if they don't pick him.
Exactly. So because he's a projection, is what he is. I mean, he's a senior with no production. He ran really fast, and that's great. But also, I don't know if you guys are familiar with little ways ago. There's a guy's name is Mike Mumala. His first round pick for the 5, and he was the first guy that trained for the combine. So he was an edge rusher from Boston College, and then he went to the combine and ran a 4.5, threw up 225 about 30 times. And everyone's like, okay, now we need to draft him. A guy that had very little production in college, like decent production, but the Eagles ended up taking him at 9. Played 6 years in the league, not a bad career, but he weren't. You know, it's like just because he ran a 4.39 doesn't mean he's a stud, because he was playing for an all-time defense at Georgia with the production that didn't match. So I would prefer Murphy at this pick. He's bigger.
Yeah, he could probably
Darryl Taylor a little bit
too, right? Next to Jalen Carter. He could probably do more inside stuff.
Yeah, absolutely could. He's pretty versatile on the line. Nolan Smith is he's a third down situational rusher in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like he
might
be too similar to Boye Mafe and Wosu. They're kind of like those lighter, like faster guys off the edge, but they might be too similar. So I think Murphy makes sense.
All right, so he's strong. Like he could play multiple positions on the D line. Yeah. And he was a top recruit. Like Nolan Smith was the number 1 recruit, but Murphy was in the top 10. So like you're getting big time talent either way. So
yeah, they just need to get stouter and bigger at the D line. I think that's a good pick. But
for the Chargers, let me make this Zay Flowers, without a doubt.
There you go.
Yeah. Offense. We need to get somebody that's a downfield threat. We need to get somebody that can make people miss in space. That offense will be broken with Zay Flowers. I'm telling you, you got to pay. Herbert will ball out with this guy. And Kansas City might try to trade up. I was reading yesterday that they're trying to put pre-draft visits with him too. So I'm worried they might trade up. So you got to grab him now.
Yeah. For my Ravens, I think at this point, I mean, I know there's Quentin Johnston. Obviously, like I know they signed OBJ, and he's not. I don't know how much you can rely on him, but I think they need a number 2 corner next to Marlon Humphrey. Joey Porter just makes sense.
Marcus Peters is a free agent still, right? I hate Marcus Peters. One of the worst players in the NFL, in my opinion.
Yeah. Andrew, you gonna be okay with Joey Porter on the Ravens, or is that something that's gonna bother you a little bit?
No, I mean it's actually better because like when Kenny Pickett's gonna throw a pick to him, then it's just double the pain for Steelers fans.
All right, I like it. Yeah, I'm on board. I'm on board with you. Joey Porter would make sense. There's a bigger corner, kind of like.
So
yeah,
they needed help in the secondary.
But for the Vikings at 23, I felt like if Levis even fell past 20, 23 for Levis for the Vikings could have made sense. But do you think they get more like a defensive player, receiver, or do they?
They lost Thielen. I mean, they got Osborne, but they need another. They're not running 2 receiver sets anymore. That coach, the new coach, runs more of a spread offense, so you need a number 3 wide receiver. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if Johnson would be the move here though. I think Jordan Addison would probably be a better fit. That's who I would pick, but
Jordan Addison would be an absolutely better fit, and Quentin Johnson will fall out of this first round. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not high on Johnson, even though he had
I feel like if you're a bigger receiver, but you're like weak at the catch point, I feel like you're just like who is it like Laviska Shenault. Like if like you could be like a decent deep threat and have speed, but you got to be like more of like a yak guy. But yeah, you want a better overall like deep threat with Jefferson there.
Yeah, Quentin Johnson is basically N'Keal Harry. He's a big dude who's not good at the catch point. I know everyone's throwing out the Kevin White comparisons, but the thing with Kevin White is, and I'm a little bit biased, Kevin White went to high school. Kevin White would have been good if he didn't get hurt. That's my opinion.
White's also faster.
He was actually mad talented at West Virginia.
Super good. Quentin Johnson's N'Keal Harry because N'Keal Harry did nothing. Quentin Johnson's not strong enough at the point of attack. He's got speed, absolutely, but when you're talking about concentration drops and things like that, that can't happen from somebody you're going to take in the first round. Addison's the Biletnikoff winner. He didn't match that production at USC, but he was still good at USC in a different offense where he had more talent around him. So Addison would make sense. He would throw him in the slot.
You think Hooker would get consideration here, or if they maybe trade out?
You have to take a wide receiver. No way. I mean, I like Hooker, but no way.
It's possible just because, I'm sure. I don't know if O'Connell really loves Cousins. Yeah. It keeps getting out there that he, they might take somebody. Somebody might be there. It's a possibility, but also with the timeline that the Vikings are on, Hooker doesn't really match it just with his age.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so, like you rather just get a quarterback next year or something. It would just make more sense. But Addison and Jefferson is a pretty good duo.
Okay, what about Jaguars? I think you go with this is one I'll struggle with, but I think you should go with Cam Smith here.
Yeah, before Branch went, I thought like a lot of people like have Branch like in this range because Jags need a safety pretty badly or nickel corner. But yeah, that's interesting. I'm not sure. What do you think, Zach?
They need secondary help, and so I forget which one of you guys said corner, and which one of you guys said safety. There's a guy here from Georgia that could play both for you.
And that's Keely Ringo. I like Keely Ringo because he's versatile too. Like he depending on what you need, you can move him there.
Yeah, move around, try him in different spots. I mean, listen, at 24, that's maybe a ridiculous request from somebody. You're gonna draft in the first round. Cam Smith is a better cover corner at this point. Keely Ringo could be a stud though, and also keep in mind too, AJ Terrell was a really good college cornerback until he got burned in the college football playoff. Everyone's like, he's
I remember that. I was Chase destroyed him.
But everyone's like, he's going to drop, and he didn't drop, and he's been a stud in the NFL. That's kind of what I like in the situation too. I would take Ringo at 24 from Jacksonville.
Yeah, he got burned. Mark Harrison Jr. is like the next great talent at wide receiver. So it's just like how Chase was. Like it's no big deal. Like people are making out to,
Yeah, he also has like he has a better athletic profile than Cam Smith, maybe some of the other corners. But yeah, I would think they could gamble on him at 24. So yeah, for the Giants, where do you guys see them going?
I have to go with Cam Smith now. I think they still corner. But I don't know if any.
What about Ford? Like, what do you guys think about Ford? I mean, he's kind of a twig, but like.
Yeah, he's still under consideration in the first round. I would take Jalen Hyatt right here.
Oh, okay.
I don't hate that pick though. I like Jalen Hyatt, but I just think the Giants got a lot of like similar receivers to him. They're gonna get a big guy if anything.
Yeah, but
I mean,
the last big guy they signed didn't work out too well.
Yeah, I know.
I think Cam Smith would be the pick here if you're going to go corner. Jalen Hyatt, makes sense still. And it kills sneak into the first round just because teams need receivers, and this is where they're going to get them. and the Giants can't afford to wait until the second round when Jalen Hyatt will be gone, Cedric will be gone, Jonathan Mingo will be gone, Tank Dell will be gone. All these guys will be gone. You got to take them now instead of at 58, wherever the next pick is.
I just felt like I don't know. I don't know if I like is Adoree Jackson like good? Cause I couldn't tell because sometimes he was like good, sometimes he was like not great, and he couldn't stay on the field. I think Cam Smith fits because also they signed like Paris Campbell, they signed Sterling Shepard back. I don't know, they just have like a million slot receivers, and I mean they have Hodgins from last year. They just have a lot over there, so they haven't really done that much at corner. So yeah, Cam Smith.
Yeah, so
for the Cowboys, I think like a defensive player or like a tight end, it just makes sense.
I think Michael Mayer. They need to replace Schultz. I think that would be a good option. They got Brandon Cook, so they don't need a wide receiver as badly. I would also put Kalijah and Kancey in play here. You never have enough D linemen, even though some of their rookie D linemen last year were pretty good. Besides that, I would consider Drew Sanders. They kind of need linebacker, but I think you got to pick Michael Mayer. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Zach, go ahead.
Mayer makes sense. I think Jahmyr Gibbs makes a lot of sense here.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I think that's something that you have to consider. I think Drew Sanders makes a lot of sense just because it's a nice Arkansas connection. I'm basing, I won't say I'm basing a lot of these things off connections, but it's something you have to look at.
Yeah, no, it happens. It happens.
Yeah, so Drew Sanders makes sense, but if I'm Jerry and I like to be bold, I think Jahmyr Gibbs would be the pick.
That would be.
I feel like, I know like he's a little smaller, but I just felt like that people were kind of the first round running back. I mean, I think he was like way more talented than like some of the other running backs that were drafted later in the first. Like he could just be he's pretty much like a Kamara clone. Like he has to bulk up a bit, but
just tell him to stay out of Vegas and he'll be great.
Yeah. For Buffalo, where do you guys see them going at this spot?
Buffalo, I think, in my opinion, they need an offensive lineman. But I've talked to a lot of Buffalo fans, and they think, "Yo, Kirk, are you fucking stupid? You're putting an offensive lineman with us?" Like, trust me, I think they cannot rely on what happened last year in the AFC.
No, they can't. I mean, that's how Josh Allen got hurt. Pretty much, he got pressured, and that almost cost him. Yeah, like a Harrison or a DeJuan Jones makes sense. What do you think, Zach?
I think so.
I would think more interior, so I would go Osiris Torrance from Florida. He's the best.
I like that too. He's the best interior by far, unless you want to consider Karonsky, but
his value. I mean, Stroud's going to be guard than Torrance is too, but as far as just pure guard, Torrance is the best guard in the class, and it's better value than taking Harrison or Jones at this pick.
Yeah. So with the Bengals, I know they traded for or no, they signed Orlando Brown. I think DeJuan Jones on the other side just it makes sense. But where do you guys see him going?
Yeah, I think DeJuan Jones makes sense at tackle, and Michael Mayer makes sense here as well. Because now
I got the Mayer pick here. I mean, he's falling a little bit far. They got rid of Hayden Hurst. I don't know who their tight end is anymore, honestly.
I think like Irv Smith.
I think it's kind of. I mean, Jones is good too, though. But
I think they signed Irv Smith, but that doesn't.
Irv Smith. Oh, he's good enough. Then I will go with Jones actually.
Okay, I mean, I feel like just protecting Joe Burrow will it's just not gonna be a complaint Bengals fans have. For the Saints at 29, I think like a D lineman fits.
They can't. I say can't see.
Yeah, they lost Davenport and some other guys.
Can't see. I mean, yeah, people were projecting Bryce here at 29. I think Bryce falls out of the first round, and if Kancey's still on the board, makes sense to take him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for Philly, they already took Bijan. So do they go with a trench pick right here at 30?
Yep, no Smith. But I mean, I think he's gonna fall the first round, so it's up. I don't know.
Nolan Smith would work here. Nolan Smith would work here. I think they also would look at Keon White, Will McDonald makes sense here.
I like Keon White too. Yeah.
And I think this pick would be an edge rusher. It just depends who they favor. Smith or McDonald, I think, would be the two. But projection wise, and if you're Philly, you can kind of afford to take projections. I think Nolan Smith would make sense.
And plus, he played with Kobe Dean and Jordan Davis in college, so you got connections there too.
Yeah, he's pretty much like a Hassan Reddick like clone. Like that would be what he would compare to, so they could just rush on the.
And he really like rotates their D line a lot, and you rotate a guy like Nolan Smith, it's perfect like situation for him.
So for the final pick, with the Chiefs at 31, I guess
Will McDonald. I think he's probably the best player available in my opinion. But I need a wide receiver. Chiefs got Kadarius Toney. They got Marcus Valdes-Scantling. And then the wide receivers are not too impressive this year. They're still could trade for DeAndre Hopkins, which I kind of would, but not with this pick, obviously. I would take Will McDonald. I don't know what you guys think.
I think if anything, they are lacking size. So I think like Quinn Johnston could fit, I think.
Yeah, Will McDonald makes sense here at edge rusher because you can always add to that defense. Keep in mind too, they can run 2 tight end sets. Mayer and Luke Musgrave make sense here for Kansas City, even though they have Kelsey, it would make sense.
Yeah,
just they have receivers around, but if Mayer's the best pass catcher on the board, take him, take the best guy. And also, a lot of people favor Luke Musgrave from Oregon State instead. So it depends. I'm fine with McDonald, but I
like McDonald here. I don't know. Yeah. I think he's just a player available, and when you're like the champions, you got to go with. And he fits a need too. They need D linemen. They need pressure. I would besides Chris Jones. I don't know. Frank Clark has been kind of disappointing a little bit lately. I would go with McDonald.
I think they actually cut him, but I'll go Will McDonald here. But what is it? What are some of like other steals you think that fall out of the first round that could be drafted?
Well, Mayer for sure is still available. I like Felix Anadike Uzama from Kansas State. I think he could be a breakout edge rusher. Best edge value in the second round, I think. I like BJ Ojolari. I like Hendon Hooker. I think he's going to be a pretty good quarterback. I like Dorian Thompson-Robinson as maybe a backup to turn into a starter. Maybe like, I don't know, like a Tyrod Taylor type of guy.